everyone, and welcome to Another Bite, where we rewatch the most innovative and intriguing pitches from Shark Tank. I'm Jorie, and I'm joined by the jovial Jon.
Hey, everybody.
It's almost summer, which means that it's the season to tropic like it's hot, which means it's time to get back into the swim of things. Will today's founders make a big splash with the sharks with their innovation on a popular swimming accessory, or will this pitch sink faster than the Titanic? It's going to be a fantastic time after this small break. Finding a service solution that helps you better connect with customers and keep them happy can feel impossible. Like trying to remember the name of that guy you met at a networking event. HubSpot's all-new Service Hub can help. Well, in the service solution part, at least. It brings service and success together in one powerful platform for the first time ever. With an AI-powered help desk and an AI chatbot that handles frontline tickets fast. All so you can scale support and drive revenue and retention. Visit HubSpot.com/service so you can do more with your customers today. Today in the tank, we have Splash Place Swim Goggles. Another tongue twister. I will try my best. So Splash Place Swim Goggles is brought to us by Ashley and her mom, Karen, and they are asking for $200,000 for 5% in their business, which is a $4 million valuation. And their product is Splash Place Swim Goggles. Henceforth, I'm just calling this Splash, guys. I'm just doing it. So these are trying to solve the problem that goggles are super uncomfortable and they break really easily. So the solution is a comfortable fabric set of goggles that comes with no tangles. So instead of a rubber back strap, this goggle comes with like a really soft fabric mesh, sort of like a swimsuit strap.
Yeah, it's spandex.
Yeah.
It's like a swimsuit material.
So it's just like designed to make your kids a little bit more comfortable when they're swimming. Mm-hmm. So thinking about our pitch, our founders, and our product, initial thoughts of Splash Place Swim Goggles.
I love this product.
Okay.
I think it is great.
Tell me more.
I watched the pitch and I got so excited. You know, when I first heard about this product and this pitch, I was skeptical. And I was skeptical for a few reasons. First of all, I should start and say this is a real problem.
Okay.
Especially for kids with long hair.
Mm-hmm.
The rubber gets tangled and there's nothing worse. And your kid's like shivering and cold and you're trying to get the goggles out of their hair and they're crying. It like takes the fun of swimming and just like destroys all the goodwill that your swimming time brought. And so it is a real problem, but it's also a solved problem. There are all sorts of little silicone and other
like strap goggles,
fabric attachments that you can slide the strap of the goggles you buy through.
Oh, into.
And so I'm like, oh, it's a solved problem. We have one for my daughter, which is why I say it's a solved problem. And I've seen other kids at the pool with similar ones. And then I saw the actual product and was like, oh, this is a good product. This is like, it's a really good product. Ashley nailed it. You know, by making it swimsuit material, number one, it brings the total cost down. So instead of having to buy two things, you just have to buy one thing. Number two, even that strap that we got for my daughter, it still has a little bit of tangle. Where this, like, it's actually just like
it's like built into the goggles.
It's bigger, it like wraps around their head. That opens up the door for there to be like really interesting and cool patterns on it. And I think the designs are actually really cool and innovative. And kids love designs and get to choose them. And so I actually think it's a really good product, and she's selling a lot of them already. What her lifetime sales are like
6.1 million.
She sold $6 million worth of them. She just needs to pour some gas on the fire here. She's profitable. So I'm loving this. I think it's a great product. It solves a known need better, like much better. She's working on a patent for it. She's selling a lot of them. She's making money on it. Seems like this is an easy invest and scale play for a shark and perfect for Shark Tank. So for those reasons, I'm in. I'm investing.
You mentioned that it's actually really scalable. I was curious about actually how scalable it is, because it seems like you get this founder. She's had this amazing success. She started it from her own sewing business and has now built it into $1 million business. They're selling on Amazon. They're selling on websites. Jon, how can they scale further? I just like couldn't envision. It's like, yeah, you could sell more goggles, but it seems like they're already really firmly in that B2C space. They're selling on like these major distributors and marketplaces. Like, is there anywhere to go from here?
Yeah, you just sell a lot more of them.
Okay, so you just double your numbers.
I mean, what does Speedo sell in goggles a year for kids? Speedo sells $250 million of goggles every year.
Okay, so you're just like, the TAM is huge, so we're just going to keep selling.
Yeah. And I bet there's tons of optimization to do. I bet they could get into the paid game and start winning there. I think they could get into the influencer game and start winning there because it's actually a better product. So to me, like, is this going to be $1 billion company? No, it doesn't need to be $1 billion company because, last year they sold 1.75 million and they took home like 400K in profit.
Yeah.
This is amazing for them. Why don't you just sell like $20 million worth of goggles and bring home $4 million of profit and then retire and live a great life?
Okay.
Sounds amazing.
So no problems, no initial concerns. Okay. The pearlettes from a couple of episodes ago totally scarred me in terms of founders coming into Shark Tanks with subcontracting gigs. Now, contracting work, totally amazing. Not poo-pooing that at all.
Yeah.
But somehow this business is sustaining on 14 subcontractors. And like, that's a lot of goggles that these individuals are pumping out. I wish they had started to get into the metrics of like making sure that they were like fair paid. Again, that's not necessarily a Shark Tank issue and not part of the pitch.
Yeah, the pearlette issue was not that they were contracting, it's that they weren't paying fair wages. They were paying below minimum wage for the production of their goods. So, you'd have to look at the compensation model to your point, Jorie. There are brands that I know, in particular in the kids space, that rely on basically networks of mothers contracting to produce the goods. It limits scale and it requires a premium price point, which I think for kids' clothes is easy to do. I don't know if it's easy to do for goggles. And so the thing I would probably look to do if I was going to really scale this, I would probably look to whether I could mass market produce these goggles instead of individuals.
Individuals like personally sewing.
Yeah. And you also can get better quality control that way and a whole bunch of things like that might become a problem for them.
Oh, that's true.
Let's say you have 200 contractors and one is just like not producing with the right quality. You're like, oh gosh, now like
that hurts your brand.
1 out of 200 goggles I got to recall or whatever,
Do you see this as like a multiple purchase product? Because you mentioned that you have bought these for your daughter, like this type of product. Do you see this as something that like it's a one and done kind of customer play, or they're trying to like sell multiple of these to a parent who has a child that wants to swim?
I think you repurchase every few years, depending on the size of your kid's face.
Oh, that's true. They grow.
They grow.
Fun fact.
Actually, it's brilliant.
Yeah, that's fair.
Adults need to buy new goggles because they lose them or they wear them out, which adults do lose goggles a lot. So that's what refreshes the goggles market for adults. The kids' goggle market's better because kids grow and they need different sizes.
So multiple purchase a year.
Yeah.
Well, sharks agree with you, Jon. They like the product and they see the need. I think it was really only Kevin that was like, it's not that much of a problem.
Well, that's because he's got no hair.
It's true. He has nothing to snag on. But it was Lori that was extra excited about this product.
Yeah. She was like, I'm going to put this on QVC and sell. I'm going to get you hooked up with the supply chain. I'm going to put you on QVC and you were going to sell a ton of these. And that's exactly what she made a deal for.
It was a bit of an interesting discussion. The sharks, like, as they were trying to sort of gauge what they would offer this founder, they were like, why do you need a shark? And in this case, it was like, granted, they wanted to get into like sporting goods stores and maybe like start to drill into different designs. But I feel like this was actually one of those rare cases you see on Shark Tank that the founder actually didn't really need the shark. I feel like this founder has figured out how to build this business from scratch. Seems like this duo can like figure out really hard problems. They don't necessarily like need a shark. And I feel like the sharks kind of had a little bit of imposter syndrome because they were like, why are you here? Why do you need this?
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I think that they're capable of scaling this further on their own. But I think there is also a certain amount of
speed that a shark will open the door for you.
Yeah. I mean, it's an accelerator. And they're like, okay, we're going to do $2 million in sales this year. Like, what's the fastest way to get it to 10 million? And so it's just about time for them. And I think they're probably like, it's hot, it's working. Who knows what'll happen in the competitive environment? Like, why go slow? They've got equity to give. They're giving away 10%. It's totally reasonable to get someone like Lori, who is a distribution machine, to promote their product. So I do this deal 10 out of 10 times if I was an entrepreneur.
And boy, did Lori jump in on it, because Lori offered $200,000 for 10% initially. They countered with 7.5. You got to respect the game. And ultimately, there was a Shark Tank deal. So they sealed the deal with Lori for $200,000 for 10% of the business.
Congratulations.
Yay. They did it. I have a hot take, Jon, though.
Oh, really?
It keeps coming up while I think about this pitch. And maybe it makes me more aligned with Mr. Wonderful as the Grinch. But, I am always really skeptical of the business people that come onto Shark Tank. And part of the reason that I feel like this founder won over the sharks is, yes, great margin, great product. They're selling, they're doing. So granted, okay, maybe the sharks were thinking business. But a fundamental part of the story and the pitch behind this product was that this owner had suffered a bunch of tragedy. Yeah. And sometimes it makes sense, right? Like, I feel like this founder was very much like, my sewing business was how I was making money when my family was hit with tragedy. It's sort of what I turned to like turn that moment around. And it could be great editing. That's also fair. But sometimes we just get these moments where the founders try to win over the sharks by being like, and this is all of the awful things that have happened in my life. And it sort of turns into what I like to call a pity pitch. So what are your thoughts?
Was this a pity pitch? Is that your question?
Yeah, was this a pity pitch, Jon, to put it bluntly?
I'll tell you, this is the founding story of the company.
Yes.
Is that when faced with tragedy from both the loss of a child and the debilitating injury to her husband, she needed to make money and started this and found a path. And I do think, especially for startup companies and founder-led companies, the origin story
matters.
Has to be one of the most powerful parts of it.
True.
And people love origin stories. And so through that lens, I think no. That said, I don't think it was critical for her to get investment for her to tell the story. I think the business stands on its own. And I think she could have walked in and pitched without including those components of her personal story and could have gotten equally funded, because I think the product is really good. And I think the numbers speak for themselves. And I think that the need is there and the problem is there. So that's my take on it.
Yes, I agree. Like, the founding story also tells the sharks whether or not they want to invest in the person.
That's right.
One last thing. So I've talked about Jon the Esquire, Jon the marketer in the past.
Jon the Esquire? You make me sound like a squire.
Jon Esquire, the
yes,
advisory.
my lord.
Exactly. I'm curious about Jon the dad's insights. So if you go to Splash Place Swimming Goggles in their website, you've bought products like this before. If you were to say tomorrow, need new goggles for your child, what on this website works for you and what on this website doesn't work for you? Is it all pluses? Are there things you would optimize as the target persona for this specific like swimwear, goggles, child's product? What are you thinking? Initial thoughts coming to their website?
I'm loving the simple design.
Mm-hmm.
I'm loving how prominently the product is featured and how it's not just the product that's featured. It's actually the outcome, which is smiling
Happy
children
kids.
Hugging each other on the beach and like playing together. So I think they did an amazing job with that. They've got some social proof, which I like, including like a really prominent call out on the Shark Tank appearance because that adds so much credibility.
Sure.
They've got an awesome little video that shows it in use, which really like drives the value home. So I like that. Yeah, I'm in on this.
No notes.
No notes. I always like a chat widget.
Oh, do they have one?
No chat. Put a chat widget on. Just turn it on.
Okay,
Build a bot.
Hot take. Do you think that every product needs a chat widget?
Yes.
Why? Tell me more.
Because it's a major way that people interact with the internet now.
Okay.
The ability to build a bot to educate a buyer or provide customer service support or whatever, this is really easy now with generative AI. And I think what you'll find is like a shocking number of people will click in and ask questions about it. And conversion, the value of those people, it like sucks all the people with intent right into a higher conversion flow. It's really powerful.
So Jon suggests chat widgets. Get a bot.
Get a bot.
When in doubt, get a bot.
Get a bot.
Approved by Jon the dad. Production for today's episode was brought to you by Arie Desormeaux. Editing comes from Robert Hartwig and support from Alfred Schulz. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, or wherever you subscribe to the greatest podcasts ever. That does it for me. See you next week in the tank for another bite. Create Like the Greats, hosted by Ross Simmons, is brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. Each episode hosts an in-depth analysis of some of the greatest creations and creators of all time, along with deep dive conversations on the creative process that went into building companies and brands. If you like learning about history or learning about the creative process, you'll like this podcast. Listen to Create Like the Greats wherever you get your podcasts.